Hi, welcome to Fast Easy Vegan. I'm Jocelyn. Today it's a foul and funky winter day outside, so you know how we can make it better? Hot and sour soup. And that you can find on page 136 of Fast Easy Vegan. If you want to get the book, you can find it in Amazon. So, I've done all the slicing and dicing, and there are a lot of ingredients in this recipe, and that's great. And it is about as authentic tasting as it gets. So let's start. Some of these ingredients I have had to replace because I haven't had anything. But let's start with the broth. Get a quart of vegetable broth, whatever you like. And we're gonna add to that too, all the good stuff. So a quart of vegetable broth, and let's get that going. Followed by a quart, 4 cups of water. Okay, get that out of the way. Now to the broth, let's add our flavorings. So we have a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, a 1/4 cup of rice vinegar. It can be seasoned or not seasoned. And by the way, seasoned rice vinegar only has sugar in it. That's the seasoning, big deal. So a 1/4 cup of rice vinegar, about a tablespoon of grated fresh ginger. Dried ginger is not the same. And a couple cloves of garlic minced. Okay. Now, the recipe calls for a 1/2 pound of sliced mushrooms. So these are my sliced mushrooms. They're getting a little bit spotty, so definitely time to use these babies up. And just throw them right in there, along with a handful of dried shiitakes. They need to be dried because dried shiitakes have amazing flavor. Fresh shiitakes have very wonderful texture, but hardly any flavor. And it's a completely different creature when they're dried. So you can get them bags of sliced dried shiitakes in any Asian grocery store. And if you're lucky, maybe your regular grocery store, depending on where you live. Do take the stems off. They are inedible. Okay. So then we want 1 onion diced, 1 carrot sort of minced, diced really small. And then I've got a zucchini here, kind of a big one. Nothing wrong with that. Zucchini is delicious. And instead of like a 1/2 small cabbage or a 1/4 of a regular cabbage, I found a couple of bok choy floating around. And I thought, that's appropriate. I'll put those in my hot and sour soup. So in it goes. And a 1/2 red bell pepper, because that's all I had. All right. The recipe calls for 1 bell pepper, and I minced that up really small because color is important. I mean, you can obviously put in a green bell pepper, but the red really, along with the orange of the carrot and the green of the bok choy, really gives it substance and visual pleasure. So I'm also going to put in some arame seaweed because I love it, and it's that shreddy stuff that you can get. Wakame is the other one. So you can get the shreddy stuff online. I'm lucky. I live in the Bay Area of California, and it's a real melting pot. So any kind of international foods, I can just hop over to the store and get. So I'm also going to add, outside the recipe, wood ear mushrooms. I love these things. The problem is to get them fresh, these are dried. To get them fresh in the grocery store, they don't have a long shelf life, and they're often not good by the time I'm rummaging through there. You can tell that when wood ear mushrooms are not good, they get kind of slippery and sort of a vinegary smell. They should be dry and not have any aroma at all. So, okay, there's that. Now, we also want to add, and this is obviously optional for people who are really strict about no oil, I have to have, ooh, that was a lot, a few drops of sesame oil in my Chinese cooking, because it's always used and it gives it that authentic sort of feel. So we're going to let this bubble down, and I also have to put in, sort of near the end, 1/4 cup of cornstarch mixed into a slurry with 1/2 cup of water. So we're going to add that at the end to thicken up the stock. So when our soup is ready, I can't wait. We'll talk again. It's been about 10-15 minutes. And our soup is bubbling away nicely. Looks pretty done. So now is the time to put in our cornstarch slurry. And let that thicken for a minute before we can eat. So while we're waiting, I forgot a very important ingredient, red chili flakes, if you like spicy, which I do. So you put those in to taste, because it's not hot and sour soup without the heat, right? And this looks good. And wait a minute until that broth loses its milky look. Cornstarch is great stuff. I used to be really suspicious of it, but I like it. It's a great thickener. And I find that for vegan cooking, it works in many, many things. Coating tofu for baking, whatever. Or you could just leave it out. It's not a requirement. So here we go. It must be lunchtime. Is for me. Ooh, I love seaweedy things. Love, love, love. Oh yeah. My mouth is watering. There it is. Hot and sour soup with the heat and the sour and all the delicious vegetables in there. Enjoy your soup, you guys. Let me know how you like it. Talk to you soon.